Noah James is a happy little boy. He loves airplanes, music, and animals, and spends lots of his time outdoors. But his daily life is a struggle and is different from that of other 2-year-olds. 3 times a day and for 9 hours overnight, Noah is hooked to a feeding tube.
He was born with end-stage renal disease. They think it was about stage 3 or stage 4 of a 5-stage process. Stage 5 is when they're in dialysis. And so he was, and they knew this was going to happen. That they knew that he was going to have some kind of problems when he was born.
Noah's mom, Jenny, always wanted to be a mother. While working in Korea, she went to her 18 weeks ultrasound appointment. That's when parents find out the sex of their baby.
Ultrasound tech was doing her thing, and then she kind of looked at it and left the room without saying anything. And then the doctor came back and looked at it, and she said, "He has an enlarged bladder." And I said, "It's a boy?" Because I still didn't know. And she goes, "Yes, but he has some problems with his bladder." And I said, "Well, I didn't think it was that bad or anything." She goes, "Would you like me to abort him?" And I said, "No, that's not an option for me." And I said, "We don't even know how bad this is." And she said, "Well, it's bad." So at 18 weeks in utero, we knew there was a problem of some kind, and it was going to be pretty dire. I wanted a normal pregnancy, you know. The reason why I got pregnant after 40 and did it by artificial insemination, which is a highly unusual method, especially for a Christian woman who's single, was that I wanted to have the experience of being a mother and this whole process of it. And it's a unique thing for women, you know. Not everybody gets to do this. And so I thought it would be an incredible blessing. Well, the process I was going through then, it didn't feel like a blessing to me. It felt much more like a curse, and I was very angry with God. And I knew that He was in charge. I never questioned that God was in control of this. I just didn't know why He was doing what He was doing. And so I spent a lot of hours angry with the Lord, because you get to a point where you can't really pray without just being mad. And because you know that, first of all, it takes away all the dreams that you had of a typical motherhood. But then you know that when that baby's born, it's going to be a lot of suffering. And when you have multiple doctors, it wasn't only the Korean doctor that asked me if I wanted to abort him. I had 2 other doctors here in the States who, when I got back, asked if I needed to do it. I needed to do it soon. And I just said, "I don't want you guys to ask that anymore. Like, stop asking," because they knew that when he was born, it was going to be quite a bit of suffering.
But despite all the struggles the doctors predicted for Noah, Jenny always knew that God will carry them through it all.
His name was actually going to be Caleb, I thought, which means like strong-hearted, you know, and his heart was never in question. Like, he always had a strong heart, so I thought Caleb's a good name. Well, I was at OHSU, and they induced me for labor, and it took 4 days. And so 2 days into this 4-day process, I was just exhausted and tired and really discouraged. But as we opened the window, there was this massive rainbow that was out over the Veterans Domiciliary Building, which was outside my window at OHSU. And it was glistening, and it was a double rainbow. And I looked at that rainbow and I said, we could call him Noah. In some way, God was saying, this is my promise to you, I will be with you through all of the suffering and through all of the difficulty. And it will not be too hard for me to do. And so the next day, when I finally went in to get the C-section, because he wasn't coming naturally, I told my mom, I said, I don't know how I'm going to be coming out of this, but I want him to be Noah Benjamin James. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure either one of us was going to make it.
Noah James was born on March 29, 2014. He was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease and underwent his first surgery at 6 days old. Now, Noah faces his biggest challenge yet, a kidney transplant. The good news is, Jenny is a compatible donor.
Our plan is that Noah will get my kidney, and that was also another answer to prayer, that we didn't have to put him on the donor list. There's a lot of kids waiting for kidneys, and it's better to have a live donor donate a kidney than to come from a deceased donor. The kidneys last longer, and they tend to just be a better fit and match for the patient, for the recipient.
Needless to say, all of this has been hard on Jenny financially.
They say each kidney transplant costs about $75,000, and then they have to be on medication for the rest of their lives, and that medication could be upwards of $10,000 a year. If you set aside all the suffering he went through and all the changed dreams and new normals and all that kind of stuff, on top of that, it's a financial pressure. And I had to give up my job, which was an international job. And so I'm not working, I'm a single mom, and I have a baby who's sick. And that financial pressure was as great as I would say any of the other pressures as well. And I went looking for help.
And that's when Jenny found COTA, Children's Organ Transplant Association, a nonprofit that helps families raise funds for children and young adults needing organ, bone marrow, or stem cell transplants.
They have a great story as an organization. They were started by a mother whose child needed a transplant back in 1986. And so it's like a mother who said, I'm going to help all the other mothers that are yet to come. And she has. She's helped at least 2,000 COTA patients have had their transplants and been helped in that way. And as an organization, they're unique in that 100% of the funds donated in honor of that child's name goes directly to their transplant-related costs. So we receive 100% of their donations.
Good boy. Nice job.
In this whole process, I learned that people don't make babies. God makes babies, and He uses people. And we get to watch what God does. I had dreams for him before. You have different dreams for your child. Now, you know that they're going to have to deal with this forever. And it's just going to be part of their daily lives. And then I'm reminded that everybody has problems that we deal with daily. They're just different problems. I want him to be a man of God. That's my dream for him, Before he was born, that's what I prayed. I said, Lord, I want him to be a man of God that helps change this world for you, and glorifies you. I thought he'd make him the next Billy Graham. I didn't know that he was going to use the suffering that he's already been through to do that. He's already brought incredible glory to God in his lifetime. He's brought so many people just encouragement. You don't have to suffer alone. And we haven't suffered alone, and in the process, God has been glorified. I wouldn't change having him, ever. And if having him means having him like this, then yes, I want to do it all over again. I do it all over again. But I would want God to change it. I just say, Lord, I don't want him to have to do this suffering, but that's not our choice. We don't get to choose the suffering the kids will go through, and they will go through suffering of all kinds. Our kids will suffer, and this is the one that God chose for Noah. And I don't think anything that God asks us to go through that's worthwhile isn't hard. And there are a lot of people out there going through very hard things. I've just learned to say, God, if this is what you've chosen for us, I'm going to trust you. I don't like it. You're going to hear my bitterness and you're going to hear my anger, but you're a big God and you can take it. So give me a better heart through the process, is what I ask for. And he has. In the first year, it was not very nice. This year, it's been a little better, and so maybe it'll just get better every year.